everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of Mini Hoopers. We are two college students who love sports and decided to film us talking about sports in our dorm room. You see, this week we fell a little behind on our schedule because normally we record every Tuesday and put it out every Wednesday. But we were on fall break on Tuesday, and we had a ton of stuff going on because this week is like midterm. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday was busy. So we did
Happy Thursday!
Happy Thursday for us. So we're going to expedite the process. We're going to record and put it out today.
See you in 3 hours.
Yeah, we're really speed running here. Just to get it out before Thursday Night Football. Mm-hmm. So our predictions can be valid and not stupid already.
Yeah, so let's jump right in.
Yeah, we're going to jump right in, starting with college football, of course. This week was crazy!
It was crazy.
Oh my goodness! Upsets galore. I'd say this is one of the better weeks that we've ever seen in college football.
I would agree.
This almost felt like March Madness. The amount of upsets that there were this past weekend. First and foremost, we had Alabama Vanderbilt. You just start with that and you say, amazing. That was beautiful. And Alabama coming off of beating Georgia, who looked fantastic.
Right, like number 1 in the country.
Fantastic game. Alabama just was the better team. And it was like, they were no doubt the best team in the country. There was no question that was the best team in the country. And then they went
and lost to Vanderbilt.
And we'll get back to Vanderbilt. Well, I'm going to keep talking about upsets. We also saw, in terms of upsets, Tennessee lost to Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
So, number 4 ranked Tennessee lost to one of the one of the worst teams in the SEC, all time.
So they're not ranked or anything, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was a weird loss. I mean, obviously upsets happen, but it was a low-scoring game. Was it 14-19.
14-19.
Weird game.
There was also another upset in the SEC. This one ranked on ranked. Mm-hmm. This was one of our games of the week. Missouri versus A&M. A&M walloped Missouri 41-10.
Crushed them. Yeah, that was crazy because I had Missouri winning that.
Yeah, I think anyone would have had Missouri winning that.
Yeah,
I believed in Nick Skirton though. Purdue, former Purdue player, transferred out. Hate him for that, but also love him because he was really good. So with all these upsets, you go, man. The SEC's looking like the Big Ten. What the Big Ten should be.
Yeah.
Well, the Big Ten's also looking like the Big Ten should be. You had 2 fringe top 10 teams lose to some real mediocre teams. Washington got their revenge on Michigan, 27-17. And this Washington team stinks. They were not a great team.
They're not a very good team. They lost almost all of their national championship players from either transfers or drafted.
They also lost their coach.
And their coach, obviously to Bama, but definitely not the same team from last year, and definitely they still squeaked out a victory
against Michigan, who beat them last year. Both teams are much worse than they were before.
They were, but Michigan is undoubtedly better than Washington.
They are. This Michigan team so up and down. I don't think they have the right coaching staff, but they made the hire and they're gonna have to sit in it for a bit. Mm-hmm. But they've got to find a QB before really considering themselves a contender. They've got talent. They're Michigan. They're gonna have talent.
Always.
But it's just whether they have the best team on the field.
I would agree.
11th ranked USC also fringe top 10 lost to Minnesota, who was close with Michigan last week. Mm-hmm. Minnesota, honestly, kind of a sleeper.
They're a good team.
Pretty good team.
USC fell out of the rankings now, didn't they?
I don't know if they fell completely out. They probably did. But yeah, Minnesota won, USC lost. That's all I know. I haven't looked at the most recent AP poll very much. I haven't dug into it. All I know is that Texas is the new number 1 again. They will more than likely stay there for the rest of the season.
For a little while, yeah.
Unless there's a crazy loss.
Right, but Texas. We're going to look back on this clip next week after they lose this week, but Texas isn't the type to lose to Vanderbilt like Bama might.
I'll have to see who they play this week.
Yeah, I'm not sure. No, that's I think you're 2 weeks ahead, buddy.
They play Oklahoma. Eek! They might lose this weekend, so I'm not gonna.
Okay, but Oklahoma's ranked though, right?
Yeah, 18th.
Yeah. Okay. So
Oklahoma's
that's like if they lose, that's excusable.
And you are right. USC has fallen out of the AP poll.
Okay, that's what I figured.
In a 1-touchdown loss to a solid team in Minnesota, I feel like...
Considering Bama only dropped 6 spots to number 7 after losing to an unranked Vanderbilt team, which is not a very good football team.
I don't like dropping USC all the way out. I know they have 2 losses, but like...
And don't get me wrong, I don't think USC is a great team. I don't think they should have been ranked number 9. I think they were number 9 to begin with. But, you know, they... knocking them out was definitely a little... harsh, I feel like.
Yeah.
Speaking of Vanderbilt,
this is 2 weeks ahead.
What's 2 weeks ahead?
This game that we're about to talk about with Vanderbilt.
Oh, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not this week. I thought it was this week too. We as in Ball State play Kent State next week, but then on the what is that? I can't read. The 19th, we take on Vandy.
Bama, Roll Tide. We'll get you.
We've got you. We're gonna avenge you.
Worst team in the MAC. We got you. Don't worry.
Actually, a lot of places have Kent State lower than us. So
in the MAC, really.
So this weekend is really for all the marbles.
Yeah, it's really who sucks less.
Yeah. So yeah.
Hey, I mean, if we win, we could be riding that high. Or honestly, I think that we should lose, because no team is scarier than a desperate team against a team who's beat the best team in the country. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like Ball State's. If we lose this week, they have more of a chance to win against Vanderbilt than they do if they win this week, I feel like.
Yeah. I think at this point the teams that I root for in Ball State and Purdue can only hope to like get one crazy win.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Purdue goes to like Ohio State this year and just like
wipes them.
Puts up like 70 points out of nowhere.
Hudson Card looks like a Heisman. That would be funny.
He did it a couple times last year.
Yeah. Speaking of Ohio State, they play Oregon this week. It's number 2 and number 3.
Very good game.
That'll be it's basically the Georgia-Alabama game over again, except 2 very different teams.
Yes.
But almost equally as good or better.
This week has some excellent games. You've got Oregon, OSU, and you've got, I know there's another one that was
Ole Miss, LSU.
Ole Miss, LSU.
That'll be a good one.
Texas, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Kansas State, Colorado's a good one.
Yes. I felt like there was another one that was like really good. Maybe I'm delusional. I think I'm delusional. I was thinking of something else.
It's possible. The other one that I think you should watch, Purdue, Illinois.
I'm not going to be watching that after all.
Just for your misery, that's it. No reason.
That is purgatory.
Yeah.
Illinois is a good team. Purdue is a bad team.
We may have to invest in some tissues this weekend.
I'm crying already.
Yeah. Yeah, so should be
a really solid weekend this weekend.
Yeah.
It was a crazy weekend last weekend.
Hopefully just as crazy.
I want a crazy weekend every single week.
Obviously. So, yeah, we'll see. Do you want to throw it over to NFL?
I have one last thing to talk about.
Okay, let's hear it.
The military schools, one of them will be in the college football playoff. That's a hot take. They're killing it. They have not had a close game yet, and they're both undefeated, Army and Navy. The Army-Navy game is going to have playoff implications.
It is. When do they play the last week of the season? They generally? Rivals week?
Yeah. So it's actually, they are likely to play in the American Conference Championship, and then they play again the next week in the Army-Navy game.
That's fire, actually.
So they're going to play back-to-back games against each other, more than likely, if everything continues as it's going in the American. And they're going to... Both of these teams look amazing. They're unconventional. The military schools have never looked normal.
No.
But they are crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just excited to see what comes out from them.
Yeah, I think... I've always kind of had an unsettling feeling watching, like, Army play with how many runs they do and stuff. It's really interesting. But I almost wonder if it's just because they can't pull a good quarterback prospect.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, quarterbacks nowadays with NIL want money, and the military schools literally cannot offer money.
Yeah. Yeah, and even back then, it's like no like quarterback who had like any promise at all would want to.
Yeah, you're not
going to the military.
Generally, if you're trying to get in the NFL, you're not going to go to Army or Navy.
Right.
So like
which is why these teams won't continue to have success past this year or next year.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to bring those prospects in. It's like this team now is obviously built to win, so they have to win now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're a natty team. That would be crazy. An Army or Navy natty in our lifetime would be insane. But they're built to win now. And
I'm very excited about these teams. I think even if they don't end up making the playoff, because like you could see a Boise State make it in over them or something like that, because there's really only one Group of 5 school that gets in. You're gonna.
I hope Boise State makes it
because you got to see Ashton Jeanty.
I want to see him run all over Texas, over Alabama, over Georgia. I want to see him run all over those.
I don't know but the thing is, I don't know if Boise State as a team would be good enough to win those games.
No,
Ashton Jeanty as a player.
Ashton Jeanty, throw him on any team, and he's
nuts.
I mean, he's crazy. I mean, the dude. We had this discussion last time. It's on TikTok. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. But he's the MVP.
Yeah,
or a Heisman. I don't know why I keep saying MVP. But I mean, he is the MVP of college. Like realistically, he is the most valuable player that a college team can have. Maybe besides Travis Hunter.
You put him on any of like the top 25 teams, he's making them better. He is the only reason why Boise State is ranked.
Right, and they're ranked pretty well too.
Yeah, I think they're top 20. So like they're not fringe. They are solidly in the
they're settling, and I think that they'll continue to win games because when you have a guy who can rack up 3 touchdowns on 13 carries, and 150 plus yards, I can't remember exactly how many he had, but it's like, I mean, this dude's like he's putting up Barry Sanders numbers on half the carries, and it's like, I mean, I was telling you earlier, he's the greatest running back prospect of our generation, maybe of all time at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, this kid is nuts.
It was Derrick Henry for a while. Derrick Henry won a Heisman, and throughout the season, he hardly had stats like these.
Right, exactly.
And this is through 5 weeks.
Right, yeah, and yeah, this kid's special. I mean, he runs so effortlessly too. Gosh, yeah, I mean, he just stands in the backfield and just reads the defense and then just goes where his legs take him, where his little legs take him, and I mean, yeah, he'll stiff arm a dude like it's no problem, and it's like, I mean, dude's kind of nuts.
100%.
Yeah.
I think he's an outstanding player, and I for what it's worth, I hope he wins the Heisman. It's tough for a non-QB to win it, and it's tough for a Group of 5 non-QB to win it, especially.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure if there's a quarterback this year that's impressing that much that would win it.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
Like, if this was, like, last season with, like, Jayden Daniels, no way that Ashton Jeanty's getting that Heisman. But it's like, you know, this year, I can't really think of a quarterback. Like, obviously you have, like, your, you know, big, like, power school quarterbacks or whatever. They're always going to be good, but I don't think any of them are putting up that impressive of numbers.
Yeah.
And the Heisman should go to
the best player.
The most valuable player.
Yeah.
I mean, it is college football's MVP.
Yeah. I still think Milroe's kind of fallen off after that Vanderbilt list.
Yeah,
he's not really on the list anymore.
Right.
And Jeanty, for like all the media, he's now at the number 1 of their lists.
He's at the number 1 on my list.
Yeah. I think it's gonna come down to likely this is the top 4. Hunter, Jeanty, those two are probably going to be the top.
I think they're 1A, 1B.
1A, 1B, and then you're going to see Cam Ward, and because Jalen Milroe's kind of fallen out of that, Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. He's been putting up crazy stats.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're just looking at pure numbers.
Yeah. And Cam Ward's pretty freaking good, but again, is he having that season that's better than one of the greatest running back seasons of all time? Like, that's really the question. And the answer for me is no.
No.
I think if Travis Hunter wasn't playing college football right now, it's Ashton Jeanty all the way.
No question. But if you've got a two-way player like Travis Hunter, then there is a question.
Right, he's really valuable. And it's not because, again, he's the best cornerback in the league, and he's not because he's the best receiver in the league. It's because he can do both, and they're both really hard positions to play. And again, we talked about this. I don't know if it was the first episode or last episode.
It was last episode, the second episode.
And it's like, and, you know, he'll get drafted. He won't play both sides of the ball anymore. But it's like, again, I mean, the dude's a phenomenal player, generational talent, no doubt. But
And
man,
Colorado's actually good at football this year.
yeah, I mean, despite not being ranked right now, they're pretty darn good.
Yeah, they stank last year
They
and
did.
got like a ton of attention, but then this year they are like noticeably better.
Yeah, Dion's putting it together finally, and Shedeur, he's focused on putting out rap songs over film study, I guess. But
you know, it's
it's
he
working.
can do what he wants if he's winning.
Right, it's working. So who cares?
He's got that KFC deal.
Yeah.
I see those ads on go.
Speaking of deals, we didn't get to talk about the Tyrese Halliburton deal with Puma.
Yeah, we didn't.
Because that came out this weekend, I think. Tyrese Halliburton, for all of my little princesses who don't know, new face of Puma. Obviously, two indie guys love Tyrese Halliburton.
Yes.
Puma's an interesting brand because they didn't really have a face. I mean, they had LaMelo.
LaMelo was the face, but
Yeah.
LaMelo,
LaMelo's not near as recognizable as he was when he entered the league. Like he doesn't have near as much hype because he can't stay on the floor. And it's like, I like Lonzo more, but
you like Lonzo more, but LaMelo is no doubt the better player.
oh,
but...
no doubt, yeah. I mean, LaMelo's still. I mean, he's a fantastic guard, but it's like, I mean, he has to prove that he can still be that fantastic guard, you know. But yeah, Halliburton. I think it's a great pull for Puma because I don't think Halliburton.
He was signed with Nike.
Yeah, I don't think he couldn't be the face of Nike.
He
Nobody can be the face of Nike right now.
Yeah, besides you got LeBron.
You have, I mean, yeah,
they've got so many names that like there is no face. Nike is just Nike, and people sign with it because it's Nike.
Right.
With Puma, you have to like they're building that brand as it is. They weren't really a basketball.
Like Skechers, like Embiid is the face of Skechers, no doubt. You think of Skechers,
yeah, but Skechers stink.
Yeah, but you know, Embiid is still top 3 player in the world. But
that's true.
And then, like you think of, like, Jordans. Like, Jordan is obviously, like, its own shoe brand, like, other than Nike now. But there's no face of Jordans other than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, no matter who signs to that, like, it's always going to be Jordan. So, if you really want to grow your brand, Puma had a great pull with Tyrese. I think he's a top 3 guard in the league. At least top 3 true guard in the league.
Point guard. I think there's a lot of really good guards in the league.
That's fair.
I'd put him... Like, he's like, I love him, and I love what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
But, like... Luka's the better player, Shea's the better player, and then you can start having the argument with like Brunson, Steph, and then with Tyrese. I think those are all kind of on the same tier for me.
I think Tyrese is the best true point guard.
Yes, undoubtedly.
He plays like he came out of the 80s, and he's really good at it.
And in the GM poll, I told you about this last night. I'm furious. The GM survey, they said that the best passer in the league was Nikola Jokic.
It wasn't even close. Yeah,
70%. Tyrese got 10% of that.
Right, Tyrese Halliburton. What I thought, bias aside, what I thought was undoubtedly the best passer in the league. I mean, led the league in assists alone.
Yeah, he was averaging 12 assists per game before he got hurt.
That's nuts. And it's like, they say Jokic, who, I don't know how many assists he averaged. I'm not going to say anything.
He had like 9 to 10. I don't know if he averaged 10 assists this season, but like he is a great passer. It shouldn't be that night and day. There should be quite a few GMs.
I understand him being up there, but I don't understand him winning by that much, or really winning at all, honestly, for me. But and then who else was above Tyrese?
Luka at 17%.
Luka, which makes sense. Luka's a good passer. Again, I don't know if I would put him over it. I think those are the big 3. But the fact that Jokic won by that much is nuts.
Absolutely crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, because Tyrese's whole like image is he can pass. He can make any pass on the floor at any point that he needs to. You know, I mean, he's a talented scorer, obviously, and he can take over a game, but it's like, you know, he has a wonky 3 form and he can pass. Like those are his things, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an average defender.
I want him to come out this season and just like average 15
Yeah, just light it up.
I mean, with Pascal all season, and then like you have Nemhard probably taking a leap, you get Mathurin back. Every time he passes the ball, it's going to a good scorer.
It should be.
So like
even with Miles,
even the one person I'd be like questionable about like if they're like a good scorer on the floor would be like Nesmith or Jarris.
Yeah, you need Jarris to make that leap.
Yeah, but like with the Pacers and the talent that they have on their roster, every time Tyrese passes the ball, it is going to someone who can easily get a bucket
over anybody.
So I want to see Tyrese just come out and
Just light it up.
put up 15 assists per game.
The good news about the GM poll was Rick Carlisle was voted the best offense.
Mm-hmm. And Pacers were voted most fun team to watch.
Yes, which is no surprise because I thought they were. I mean, this past season was like the season where I've most closely followed the Pacers, no doubt, like ever in my life. Mainly because we were really good, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go to a couple of these games, and I did. I went to a playoff game and stuff too. They're a really fun team. They're great.
Are.
Because they can either come out and stink it up, or they can come out and beat the best team in the league in a series of 7. Yeah. Because the Knicks were undoubtedly the better team. But the Pacers just had so much energy, especially with our home court advantage. Yeah. When we played at home, it wasn't even close.
Yeah. The thing with the Knicks series is that, like, we played with that energy, but, like, the Knicks were, like, banged up. And
yeah,
so,
they were
like,
hurt.
So, like, they were playing 6 guys for 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And Brunson included, and then he got hurt the last game.
Yeah. So, like, you look at that, and you're, like, they played their guys nonstop while we were 9 deep, everybody running and gunning. Mm-hmm. So, like, we were
set up to win to begin with. The fact that it went to 7 was a surprise. Like, we shouldn't have won that series by any means. But
I think we honestly, with how injured they were and how, like, I thought that we would have exhausted them beyond.
Well, I'm saying like, if this was both teams healthy, Pacers didn't stand a chance.
I
don't think so. I think that all games were way too close, except for that game 4.
With Randall and Anunoby. I forget that Randall was on the Knicks at any point in time. He's hardly ever healthy.
Yeah. Well, he's not there anymore. But
rest in peace.
Yeah. Have fun on the Wolves, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
The jerseys just don't look right. He hasn't played, but, like, I saw them print the Randall...
on the Wolves jerseys, you mean?
Yeah.
Oof.
And I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. Cat in the Knicks jersey, that's like, okay, I've seen it on him.
Yeah.
But, like, same with DiVincenzo. I know I've seen DiVincenzo on, like, several different teams, but it just doesn't feel right after he built such an identity with the Knicks.
I'll say, whenever I think of DiVincenzo, I think of the Knicks. Like,
I and he was only there 1 year.
I know, which is crazy, but I feel like he did the most with them.
Oh, 100%.
Like, he had his most success.
Rest in peace, Nova Knicks.
So on to football. NFL football, not college football. So, Jayden Daniels is really good.
Yeah.
Jayden Daniels, him and Sam Darnold are 1A and 1B quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. Literally nobody could have bet that would be coming out of my mouth this time last year. Yeah. That Jayden Daniels and Sam Darnold would be 1A and 1. Even like back to like 2 months ago, nobody would have thought that. But Jayden Daniels, if he may win MVP as a rookie.
No.
I think he could.
I don't think he's putting up better numbers than CJ Stroud was last year.
I think that he is. I think that so MVP, very, very weird award, right? It's obviously a quarterback award.
Nowadays it is.
We're past that. But it's the most valuable. CJ Stroud was surrounded by weapons last year. Yes. Undoubtedly. He had so many good receivers, and even this year he has so many. Even they brought in Stephon Diggs, had a great defense, had a great O-line, had a great running back room and stuff. Mm-hmm. Jayden Daniels doesn't. And they're winning games. Jayden Daniels, his best receiver is Terry McLaurin. Couldn't even name you their wide receiver too. I literally could. They have Brian Thomas in the backfield. Or Brian Robinson. I don't know why I said Brian Thomas. Brian Robinson in the backfield. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally... He's single-handedly winning them games.
Yeah. Well, I think you just plug a good QB in there and they will single-handedly win you games. Yeah, I think stats-wise, you also look at the one other undefeated team in the league besides the Vikings, the Chiefs. All Patrick Mahomes receivers are hurt, and they're still undefeated. You know who has lost? Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, but you know who has, like, 3 times the amount of touchdowns that Patrick Mahomes has? Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
I mean, Mahomes is a bottom 16 quarterback right now. Justin Fields has way better stats than Mahomes does, and it's like Mahomes does not look good, and it's not necessarily his fault. His team's very injured and stuff, and I'm not saying that. I mean, they're still winning. That's all that matters at the end of the day. Who cares? Yeah. But Mahomes is not an MVP this year. I think that you can't just take out the first 5 weeks of the season Like, I think that his MVP case is already gone unless he somehow breaks some kind of history.
I do worry that Jayden Daniels is not going to be able to keep up this level of production. I mean, it's on par with where RG3 was, and RG3 won Rookie of the Year and everything.
But I have no doubt that Jayden will win Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
That's a lock
Offensive
for me.
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. But yeah, that's a lock for me.
Yeah.
I would put money on it.
I still think he's nowhere near MVP.
I mean, he's the best quarterback in the league right now. He's the best stats in the league.
Stats doesn't matter. Dak led the league in touchdowns last year, and he stank.
Right, but
he
then,
also was like top 3 in the
okay, so what matters? If stats don't matter and team success doesn't matter, then what matters?
Team success does matter.
Well, does he not have that? Again, he's literally...
He has that in week 5.
Well, yeah, but it's like he's played really tough teams, and he's won really tough games, and he's done it himself.
Yeah. Well, let me introduce you to a QB called Caleb Williams, who also has played... He's on a winning team. Has only lost one more game than Jayden Daniels, and also has kind of a crappy tool shed who hasn't put up stats. DJ Moore has been very hurt.
Rough.
Like
don't like Caleb Williams.
You don't like him, but
turnover machine.
But
doesn't win games. He's not a game winner. He's a stat pattern. He's not a game winner.
Except he's winning, and he's
won 3 games.
And Jayden Daniels has won 4.
Yeah,
that's 1 game difference.
But do you know who Caleb Williams? He lost to the Colts. The Colts suck. Yeah. I hate to say it, the Colts suck.
The Colts sucked the game that we beat them, but
yeah,
also you can't say the Colts suck after like half of our roster lost by a field goal to the Jags.
And it was the curse. I don't want to talk about that.
It's the curse, but also the Colts.
The Colts are just a very mid football team.
But we're hurt right now. I think we'd be better if we had our guys.
Yeah, anybody would be better if you had all your starters, but it's part of football.
We didn't have our entire backfield. Last game.
That's true. I mean,
without JT and AR, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, but
Though Flacco looks great.
Don't start with me. But Caleb Williams is, I mean, he's just a rookie quarterback. I don't think that he's anything special.
I think Jayden Daniels is a very good rookie quarterback.
He is. That's my whole point. He is. But I'm not saying he's a lock for MVP, but I'm saying right now he's the front runner.
Sam Darnold's the front runner. Sam Darnold's put up roughly equivalent stats, maybe less rushing yards, but he has more touchdowns, and he's led an undefeated team. All right, we just had an argument while the camera we had to like reset stuff. He said before camera cut that the Vikings have had a much easier schedule.
I didn't say a much easier. I said an easier.
Than the Commanders.
I think they've
one
had
team
less
is undefeated,
wins.
one team has a loss.
I think they've had less impressive wins.
So we're going to start with the Commanders' schedule. They've played and lost to the Buccaneers, and then they played and beat the Giants by only a field goal. They beat the Giants by a single field goal. The Giants, one of the worst teams in the league, Giants. They beat the Bengals in just a shootout. The Bengals look good in that game. The Commanders look good in that game. It was just both teams look good. They blew out the Cardinals.
Cardinals are a good team.
Don't call them a good team.
They're a good team.
Don't call them a good team.
Okay.
They are not a good team.
They're a good team.
Kyler has looked good, that's it. Maserati Marv also looked good. Like, I've had faith in the Cardinals, but also the Cardinals kind of stink. Like, you cannot say that they're a good team. And just last week, they beat the Browns. Let me tell you what this guy said off camera. The Browns are actually a good team.
The Browns are a good team.
They're 1-4 with one of the worst QBs in the league. They've got no one and nothing.
The Browns are a good team. I'll tell you what.
He just doubled back.
I did. I said the Browns are a good team. The Browns are a good team.
How are they a good team?
So listen to me. Listen to me. So they lost to the Cowboys, obviously. They beat the Jags, who I'll go on a stretch here. They beat the Jags, who beat the Colts, who beat the Bears, who are a good team. But anyways, Bears aren't a good team.
Transitive property doesn't actually exist. That's crazy.
But no, they beat the Jags. They've had the thing that makes the Browns a decent team. I'm not saying that they're like a playoff team, but they're not a cupcake win by any means.
Yes, they are.
Because their offense is terrible, no doubt. Their defense is phenomenal. They have a really good defense. If you look at all of their games besides the Commanders game, which go doubling back, they have completely they've held them to close games. Except for the Cowboys game, I guess, too, which was 33-17.
The Browns' win differential, their point differential, is minus 42.
Right.
They have lost all of their games by 42 points. In all games.
Listen. 18-13, they held the Jags to 13 points. They held the Giants to 21 points.
They held the
Raiders
Jags
to 20.
to 13 points. You just say they held the Jags to 13 points.
The Jags just dropped 37 against the Colts, which are a good defense.
But we were missing Kenny Moore, DeForest Buckner. Do not talk about the Jags like they're a good team.
The Jags are not a good team. Don't get me wrong. I will die on that hill.
The Jags' point differential is only 4 points less than the Cleveland Browns. Do not be talking like the Browns are a good team. That is the craziest take I've ever heard.
I really don't think. I think that they'll surprise you.
The only team there's everyone most of the teams are around 40. The only team that's noticeably worse in point differential than the Browns is Carolina. Yeah, and that is no doubt
Carolina's undoubtedly the worst team in the league.
I just think that is such an insane take.
I really think that the Browns will surprise you.
They surprised me by stinking this bad. That's how they surprised me.
Nick Chubb's coming back.
He's going to come back and get him a whole extra one other win. The Browns have literally said that this is their plan, that they are going to try to trade Deshaun Watson with their first pick.
Oh, I'm sure. They need to.
But they have to have a good, valuable pick to try to get. That is insane. That is crazy.
Deshaun Watson, I don't think will ever play NFL football or start for an NFL football team after the Browns.
But I just think that's crazy to call that a great win.
Great win.
I would say
the Commanders beating them?
Yes.
Well, the Commanders dropped 34 on a really good defense.
I'm gonna say the Commanders have one good win. One good win.
Against who?
It was against the Bengals. That was a great game where both teams were playing.
What about the Packers? Oh, they haven't.
The Packers. They haven't played the Packers. They did play the Packers. The Vikings, who apparently had an easier schedule, with a win against the Jets. Jets aren't great.
Jets are bad,
but they have talent. Against the Packers, this is with Jordan Love back. They blew out the Texans. The Texans were a very good football team. They blew them out of the water.
That was a very impressive win. That was a very, very impressive win.
They beat the Niners by a touchdown, so it might not.
The Niners are not a very good team.
And
they're better than the Browns, but they're not a good team.
In the first game of the season, the Vikings blew out the Giants. You know who didn't blow out the Giants? The Washington Commanders, who beat them by 1 field goal.
Hey, a win is a win.
The Vikings are a undefeated team with the same difficulty or harder of a schedule than Washington Commanders. To say that the Washington Commanders had a harder path to get to 4-1 than the Vikings had to get to 5-0 is insane.
So what sparked all this controversy was I said that Jayden Daniels is an MVP over Sam Darnold, right? Look at the Vikings' talent versus the Commanders' talent. We went over the Commanders' talent earlier. They don't have anybody besides Terry McLaurin. I couldn't even name you someone on their defensive side. The Vikings, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the league alone. Sam Darnold, you could put me at under center, and I'm gonna put up, good stats throwing to Justin Jefferson. He's out there somewhere, But in terms of their defense, the Vikings' defense is much more impressive than the Commanders' defense is. Jayden Daniels has had to single-handedly bring his team back into games when Sam Darnold tosses a few touchdowns and doesn't have to worry about it for the rest of the game. I'm just saying that Jayden Daniels has had a more impressive season than Sam Darnold has.
That's debatable, and I think
it's close.
I think he will finish the season top 5 in MVP. I don't think he's going to touch the top 2 because CJ Stroud looked fantastic last year. He should have been top 5 in MVP. He didn't even get close.
But the issue is there were so many good quarterbacks last year.
So many, isn't it?
I thought there were. Lamar won MVP. Then you have Mahomes.
Let's look at Lamar's numbers right now. Let's see if Lamar's an MVP candidate.
I'm not sure.
Lamar has put up more yards, more rushing yards, more touchdowns. Lamar has been the better quarterback.
Than who?
Than Jayden Daniels. I forgot his name for a second.
He has more passing touchdowns than Jayden Daniels.
Let me see the passing tutties. He's also been handing off to Derrick Henry more. He has a total of 9 passing touchdowns. Jayden Daniels probably has more than 9 passing tutties. Jayden Daniels has 4 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the season. 4 passing touchdowns all season. 4. You know who has more? Lamar with 9. Lamar's been a better QB. Undoubtedly. No question. CJ Stroud also has looked better. Has more passing touchdowns, more yards. I could just name QBs that look better. Geno Smith has more passing yards.
So the thing that you're not looking at, completion percentage.
Yeah, and
Lamar Jackson. I mean, historically, Lamar has had terrible completion percentage. I mean, in the high 50s, low 60s. Jayden Daniels is averaging almost 80% a game. I mean, which is nuts for, one, a rookie, 2, a quarterback. Because you look at, obviously, Jared Goff had that one 100% completion percentage game. I mean, Jayden Daniels missed 2 throws against the Bengals. Where he threw, hang on, let's check this. He had 141.7 rating. That's almost perfect.
But then, if you want to talk completion percentage, Joe Burrow has more yards, more touchdowns.
Burrow is
same amount of interceptions. With 30, he's down less. His percentage is down just 5%, and he's had 30 more attempts.
Yeah, Burrow's has a special case. Burrow's interesting,
and his team's 1-4.
Right. Yeah.
So and Baker's also putting up arguably similar numbers with more touchdowns, same amount of interceptions, and way more attempts.
Who is Baker throwing to?
Mike Evans.
And
let me see. I don't know.
Chris Godwin.
2
top 10 receivers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Who does he have in the backfield? 2 running backs in the top 15 in rushing.
Brian Thomas is looking fantastic in rushing. Jayden Daniels also has Austin Eckler, who's a little washed, but he's played decent.
Awful. Eckler has not been doing anything. But, yeah, Brian, it's...
And also, if you want to talk completion percentage, Joe Flacco's up there in MVP.
Okay, Joe Flacco has played a game and a half. Of course he's going to have a better completion percentage.
Yes, but, it's arguable, and he only has 50 less attempts than
50 less attempts. Yes, that's
in 2 games. In 1.5 games
worth. Yeah, two games worth of completions, and he won't start another game.
But he looks really good. His numbers are really good.
Joe Flacco does look really good.
Yeah,
he looks great.
MVP candidate. If we're talking,
if he started the whole year,
if completion percentage is what we're basing MVPs off of, and you want to talk about MVP stats, Geno flippin' Smith.
I actually do have something about Geno. So
his team lost to the flippin' Giants.
Yeah,
and he still looks amazing.
Geno leads the league in passing, yards.
On almost 200 attempts, he's at 72 completion percentage. 72%.
Which is average. That's pretty normal.
Well, Jayden Daniels is only at 77.
Right. So here, I'll show you this outlier. So look at this Browns game. 56 completion percentage, 86, 91, 79, 70. Which this game I don't think that he played. Is that a real game? Was that a real game? Yeah, that's regular season. Okay, that's a weird game. But yeah, this past week he threw for 56%, which was rough. That's a really hard outlier that's bringing him down. Now, don't get me wrong, the 91.
But that's how he plays for the rest of the season.
It goes both ways. 91 is bringing him up, but if we wipe both of those out, he has an 80% completion percentage. Which is record high. If he continues that, which you're right. If he continues that, but,
I just think it's so bold to come out and be like, this guy is my front runner for MVP.
I don't think he's not my front runner, but I'm saying he could be.
You said he was your front runner earlier.
He's my front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh no, you said front runner for MVP.
No. I said no. Yeah, we can, but I'm saying he will. I think he could very well win MVP as a rookie.
He's 100% I agreed with you. He's 100% the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But when you were saying he had a better MVP case than Sam Darnold,
he does. Undefeated, I think he does 100%. He's way more valuable to his team than most of these guys are. It's just because like you saw how much success any Commanders quarterback like before Jayden Daniels, like I mean even like throwing it back to like Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz, they had almost the exact same team. These guys have not changed very much in the last 5 years. They've had like 4-win seasons, and these guys are already at 4 wins. If you throw a good quarterback in the Buccaneers scheme, you threw Brady in there. He won a Super Bowl.
Brady also brought in
with a very similar team. I'm saying like than most of these quarterbacks. Like
Brady won a Super Bowl in that roster with Rob Gronkowski, and like he brought in a ton of people.
He brought even
on defense.
He brought Gronk. That was it. Nobody else came. That was it. It was Gronk. But then unless there's some like weird like third stringer cornerback that I don't know about, but Tampa
Bay was much better when Brady was there than when Baker's there.
You throw in a good quarterback to the Vikings, like even back to Kirk. The Vikings were a playoff team 3 times with Kirk, at least I think maybe more. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you throw a good quarterback on the Vikings. You throw Jayden Daniels on the Vikings, he's 5-0. I think easily if you throw into Justin Jefferson.
But maybe it's scheme. Maybe the Commanders needed a more mobile quarterback.
Yeah, maybe. But it's also like he's doing more for his team than a lot of these guys are, and that's why it's not the best quarterback in the league award. It's the most valuable player. But it's not. It hasn't been who has thrown for the most passing yards the last few years. Like that's why Lamar's MVP was so crazy because. He was bottom in the league in passing yards. I think as his first.
But he was the best quarterback in the league.
Right, he was the best. He was the best. He was the most valuable quarterback because he led the league. He led all quarterbacks in rushing, and rushing touchdowns, and threw for a bunch of touchdowns as well. Even though he didn't have that many passing yards, he was the most valuable quarterback. It's not the most valuable player. It's the most valuable quarterback, but he was undoubtedly the most valuable quarterback. You put him on any team, he's gonna find that success. Assuming that their coach switches their.
But you look at Mahomes 2 years ago when he had great. Like it's no longer most valuable. It is just who's the best QB in the league, and it's who the media thinks is the best QB in the league, and that's not going to be Jayden McDaniels. Jayden Daniels.
Jayden McDaniels.
I'm thinking of Mike McDaniel right now.
That's okay. I think that it could be. I think if he continues, if the Commanders are at least a 12-win team, I think he has a very strong case. And obviously, time will tell. But if he's even like top 3 in voting, I'm rubbing it in your face. Because
I don't think he will be.
I think that he very easily could be. A lot of it for him is going to be team success. If he can clean up the touchdown to interception ratio and then has good team success, I think he easily has a case.
He's got the it's not the harder part of his schedule coming up, but like he's got. Oh my God, their schedule is so easy.
Yeah, they have a cupcake schedule. That's the other thing. They've gotten the hard games that they have out of the way. Realistically,
no,
I mean, they play the
that's
Eagles.
their hard schedule. I mean, they play the Ravens next week.
The Ravens will. I think the Ravens is the hardest game of the year, arguably. I mean, if you're not counting the.
Apparently,
Bengals.
the Giants are good now at 2-3.
Giants are they're a weird case, especially without Malik Neighbors too. Last week they won.
Daniel Jones just goes nuclear sometimes.
He does. They're a very weird team.
They go against if the Steelers is one of the better teams that they play. That's crazy.
They are.
Play the Cowboys, Eagles.
Cowboys and Eagles are both not very good right now.
The Saints really suck right now. They had like a great first 2 games.
I mean, they're undoubtedly.
Like the
I think they're undoubtedly the best team in their division. Out of the Eagles, Cowboys, and Saints.
It depends
Saints.
It depends if the Eagles start playing up to how they should be playing.
They should be. I mean, they have had injuries. With A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith should both be back this week, but including is it Lane Johnson who was out? I can't remember. One of their tackles was out, but they should all be coming back this week. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how well the Eagles do. They can turn it around, but
I think he's really good. But it's Dak put up better numbers than Lamar, like in terms of passing.
He wasn't more valuable,
touchdowns.
Though. Right. That's why I'm saying it's not the best quarterback. It's the most valuable quarterback.
He had better passing, more touchdowns, and he led his team to the 1 seed in the NFC. Same as the Lamar did with the Ravens, and Dak was like 5th in MVP voting.
Right, but
Dak put up better numbers.
Dak was not the more valuable quarterback. You could throw any quarterback. I'm telling you could throw any quarterback on the Cowboys that year, and they're doing what you could put Gardner Minshew there. They're going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying they'd be a 1 seed.
But
they're going to be
crazy.
When you throw to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's the second best receiver in the league. Him and Justin Jefferson for me are 1A, 1B. It's so easy to put up those numbers. You seriously, having a top 5 receiver versus a top 15 receiver makes a world of difference for anybody. You look at Matt Ryan. Look at Matt Ryan's downfall. He was an MVP, took his team to the Super Bowl. He put up historical numbers for the Falcons when you had Julio Jones, a top 10 receiver of all time. Won't get into the specifics of that. But then he loses him. He's terrible. Because Matt Ryan wasn't their success. He wasn't the reason they were so successful. It was his receiver. Because Julio Jones can make so much stuff happen. Because passing yards is not just yards through the air. It's also run after catch. So, look at, Tua. Tua had a crazy season last year because he had so many yards after catch with Tyreek and Jaylen and even do his backfield with A-Chain and Mostert. It's but he wasn't the reason that they were successful, though. It was his playmakers, success comes... quarterbacks live and die with their playmakers. And Jayden Daniels doesn't really have one. Terry McLaurin... He's a good receiver
this year.
Huh?
He's looked
great this year,
this
but
year.
he's looked awful the last 4 years because he doesn't have anybody competent throwing to him.
Yeah. So let's put Joe Flacco in the Commanders' offense. He'd probably put up those numbers. What if they? Just
I think McLaurin will put up similar numbers. Yeah, but I don't think he would put up. I don't think that Flacco would put up the same numbers that
he's not going to have the rushing yards that
right. Flacco and Daniels are very different players. It's that's where it kind of comes to scheme as well. But
I just think they've had a genuine terrible quarterback with the Commanders for several years where they just had zero competency. So you put anyone with competency, and you're saying the Commanders look so much better than they did before. Is they were playing with Carson Wentz, who was so washed by that point in time, and Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
So, I feel like the argument there that, they are so much better than they were last year is they actually have a quarterback.
Right.
It's
and it's crazy how well, but this team, they're still not a good team. The Commanders, I will die on that hill, they're not a very good team. They have a good record, and they're winning games because of Jayden Daniels.
They have a good record in the winning games because they play cupcake schedule, and they're going to continue to play cupcake schedule for the rest of the season.
I mean,
they might make this
at the beginning of the season. They called the NFC West NFC East the hardest division,
and now that's by far the NFC North.
Yeah,
but we found out that all of them stink.
Yeah.
Besides
the
Commanders. So the Commanders just stink a little less than everybody else. And they've played a cupcake schedule.
They have played an easy schedule. I will give you that.
So
but there's also not that many teams where it's oh, this is a guaranteed loss. Oh, this is a guaranteed win. There's not a ton of teams in the league this year that are like that. I think
the Jags should be. Shout out Colts. Titans should be. Dolphins, honestly, right now should be. Patriots should be.
A guaranteed win for these guys? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Guaranteed loss, not really. Unless you're one of those teams that I just named.
Right, maybe, the Ravens, maybe, depending on who they're playing. I mean, at this point, the Chiefs, I think, are my two teams where it's if you play them, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
Or I guess the Texans, too. Which...
Right now, I'm looking at the Texan stats to see. Yeah, he's got Stephon. I was thinking about
and Nico Collins and Tank
who's
Dell.
out now. I was trying to think of what are the weapons. He didn't have Tank Dell early on, and now no, he didn't. He didn't have him to start the season. He was hurt.
Tank Dell?
Yeah,
he played. He was my starting fantasy receiver. Tank Dell was not hurt.
What?
Yeah, Tank Dell played. He didn't do anything, but he played.
He's only played 4 games.
He's just been there. He may have been out last week, but he's just their wide receiver 3. He just doesn't really get targets. He's like a A.D. Mitchell for the Colts.
Yeah,
doesn't really do anything. Yeah, and you look at the Texans defense too. Same record
Yeah.
as the Commanders with a generational defense.
Yeah.
You live and die by your playmakers. And Jayden Daniels is a playmaker. And that's why Lamar is a 2-time MVP, because he is that playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with Mahomes, he is a playmaker. But like that's why Flacco would never win an MVP because he's not a playmaker. It's a miracle that Peyton won an MVP. Peyton just had a record-breaking season, so that's why.
Ooh, I'm gonna introduce you to one of my new picks for MVP.
Okay.
Because we've mentioned completion percentage.
Sure.
And how it's a very important stat.
Sure.
There's one QB in the league who has played snaps as QB,
Mm-hmm.
who has a 100% completion percentage, and in that one has the longest, in that reception in that play,
Mm-hmm.
they're averaging currently 24 yards, per completion.
Yeah.
That's A.D. Mitchell. 100% completion percentage, and in every completion that he has made, it's been a 24-yard gain. He averages 24 yards per.
I thought he was only throwing one ball.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's 100%. He's 100%.
What about Amon-Ra St. Brown? Threw a touchdown for one play. One
but
pass.
that wasn't long. That wasn't A.D. Mitchell getting 24 yards off of one ball.
MVP caliber, guys.
MVP, because completion percentage is very important.
Don't troll me. Anyways, I think that the Chiefs are the best team in the league.
Oh, they should never be winning the games that they're winning.
Yeah, they're winning games, and I don't understand how. I watch them, and they don't look good. But then somehow the teams that they're playing against look worse. Just they'll play the best teams in the league, and they'll make them look worse. And it's like the Chargers. The Chargers are a pretty good team. The Chargers looked awful in the game they played against the Chiefs. No, it wasn't necessarily the Chiefs' defense.
No.
The Chiefs' defense is fine, but they're not by any means should stop Justin Herbert and Lad McConkey and stuff. But
it's because the script has a 3P, and that's how it's going to be. I don't know how the Chiefs beat the Falcons, because the Falcons are actually looking amazing right now. I don't know how the Chiefs beat the Bengals, because the Bengals are one of the better teams for sucking,
Kirko Chains is nuts.
He is. That's my MVP pick.
Kirko Chains.
509 yards in one game.
That's a franchise record. That was crazy. He should have won the Hemi Award on Monday Night Football, but instead Patrick Surtain won it for his pick six. But
you give it to the guy who just threw 509 yards. Oh, what a ball! You give it to the guy who kicked the field goal, Young Hoku.
Young Wei. It's not.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it how I want. Honestly.
You gotta publicly apologize after that one. Anyways, on the flip side of that, I think the Bengals are the worst team in the league.
Oh, 100%.
The Bengals are a really scary team. I think they're a really good team.
Let's look at how little they've lost every game that they've played by.
Burrow, first 2 weeks aside, but Burrow tossed 5 touchdowns, still lost. It's not him, guys. It's your defense. I'm sorry.
I mean, week 2 they looked amazing. They only lost to the Chiefs by 1 point.
Yeah.
So their worst game.
That was another game where the Chiefs made the Bengals look bad.
Every game has been within a touchdown. They lost to the Patriots week 1. We don't talk about that.
That was not the Bengals. First 2 weeks don't count. If the Bengals played the Chiefs week 3, they would have won.
Lost to the Chiefs by 1 point. Lost to the Commanders in a just shootout.
It was a shootout.
Bengals easily could have won that. Only beat the Panthers by 10 points. Not really the greatest looking victory, but
but that's okay.
A win's a win. And lost to the Ravens in OT.
Oh, dude,
oh
that
my
was
gosh,
a heartbreaker.
Did you see the kick that they tried to send through?
I did not.
So in OT they had it was decently far, but an NFL kicker should be able to get that field goal. It was probably around. It was 49.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's just a bad snap. And
He sold the game.
And so they snap it, the holder slips.
Ugh.
And it's the Bengals should have won that game because that kick should have been automatic.
Yeah.
But instead the snap was so bad and the hold was so bad
McPherson missed it.
that he missed it wide left. It was bad.
I think he's my kicker in fantasy too.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I have Fairbairn, and he's been crushing it for me.
yeah. So, yeah, Joe, it's not your fault, buddy. Don't beat yourself up.
It's not your fault. You've looked amazing for me. I'm in love with you, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, we love you, buddy. Keep doing what you're doing. Rashee Rice out for the season. That got confirmed. Then Nico Collins.
Wide receivers are having a rough time
on IR. Only it's been the league leaders in receiving yards. First it was Rashee Rice out for the season. He was on IR first. Now Nico Collins, leading the league in receiving yards, on IR. Very worried for Jamar Chase because he's next up. Okay, cutting that conversation short because we're running out of time. Let's get to our picks.
Yes.
Wow, that was strange. Okay, Thursday Night Football. 49ers Seahawks. What you got?
The Seahawks just lost to the Giants.
Yes, they did.
Who I've consistently called the worst team in football on this podcast. And I'm going to say the Seahawks are winning this football game. Unless CMC comes back last second. I would love George Kittle to have a great game and stuff, but I'm picking the Seahawks.
I'm going with the coldest white boy in the NFL, Purdy. I think
he sucked.
He did. The Niners are not a good team. Don't get me wrong, but I think that they're gonna have a really hard bounce. I think it's gonna be a really good game, and I think it's gonna be a really hard bounce back game for the Niners in prime time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it swung either way, but
it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I think it will be. So Jags Bears.
The Bears. The Jags stink. They shouldn't have beat the Colts last week, even the banged up Colts.
Yeah, they still held them to 3-point victory. But
yeah, like the half the Colts roster only lost by a field goal to the fully loaded Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
So I'm picking the Bears.
Yeah. I'm going to too.
They're only favored by 2 points, which is crazy.
Okay.
Like I would think that this would be predicted to be a blowout.
Yeah, you would think, because the Bears are not a bad team. But, yeah. Okay. Commanders-Ravens.
I'm picking the Ravens, easy.
I'm going with the Commanders.
I know you love Jayden McDaniels, but
it's not Jayden McDaniels. Good Lord.
Jayden Daniels.
But,
Jayden McDonald's.
Look, this is going to be either a really good game or the Ravens are going to blow the Commanders out. But I think if it's a really good game, the Commanders are going to pull away with it.
If it's a really good game, you're going to see a good game from Lamar Jackson, who is arguably like top 3 QB in the league.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a great game from Derrick Henry, who has been insane the past 2 weeks.
Henry's scary. That's my fear with the Commanders, is that their run defense is not going to be able to stop Henry, or even contain Lamar.
If there is a question about their run defense, they're getting torched.
Yeah, which is a little scary, but I think that it could be a shootout. My fear is Marlon Humphrey will also kind of lock up Terry McLaurin, but Terry is known to torch some of the best cornerbacks in the league. So we'll see. I think it could be a good game.
Let's see if betting also has a good game. Nope, they have Baltimore by a touchdown.
Okay. So Cardinals Packers.
That's a tough pick. I think the Cardinals are the worst team. There's still been some concerns about Jordan Love, but he's kind of been coming back. Mm-hmm. And I do think I think the Packers are just a more talented roster, so I'm picking the Packers.
We're not playing the Maserati Marv edit this week.
No, we're not. We are not playing that edit.
Yeah, I get that. I'm going with the Packers as well. That's just really same reasoning. They're just the better team. I think it could swing the Cardinals. It probably won't be that great of a game, but I trust Jordan Love over Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is just too inconsistent for my taste.
He's been fantastic, but also Black Ops is coming out soon, so
yeah, he's preparing.
Yeah.
Texans Patriots.
Literally no question to me.
It's not even close. It's obviously the Patriots. Drake May starting. I don't think it's a question. Patriots by 100. I'm just kidding. But
let's get for real now.
No, yeah, but honestly, this is my upset watch. I think that the one drive that Drake May played, he looked really good, and he almost led a touchdown drive, and then they just stopped playing for whatever reason. Realistically, this is my upset watch. I'm picking the Patriots. It's a stretch, but I will look really smart if it hits.
If it hits, you will look smart. But also the Texans are very good.
That's true.
So
don't get me wrong. The Texans should win this game by all means.
I'm gonna pick the team that's gonna win.
That's fair.
And that is the Texans.
That's fair. That's fair. I can't blame you. Buccaneers Saints, little divisional game.
I also think this isn't a question. I think the Buccaneers are by far the better team.
Really? Okay.
The Saints have fallen off. I know I said stuff last week about them beating the Chiefs. I think that's just because I wanted the Chiefs to lose. The Saints suck. They've sucked since week 3. Derek Carr has no longer looked good.
No, and he got injured last game.
Spencer Rattler.
He's not supposed to start this week. So yeah, I will also be going with the Bucs. Sorry, Saints fans.
No question for that.
Browns Eagles.
I said this earlier in the show. I think the Browns are just not good at football.
I'm going with the Eagles because it's AJ Brown and Devontae Smith's bounce back game.
Yeah, Eagles. They're just a better team. I think the Eagles are gonna bounce back and they're gonna be.
I think they'll be a good team.
I think that's gonna be the hard games on the schedule for the Commanders.
I agree. Yeah, I think they'll give them a little run for their money.
Yeah.
Okay, Colts Titans. Bias aside.
If Anthony Richardson plays, which he should, if Jonathan Taylor plays, which he should,
I hope.
We beat the Texans.
But also Michael Pittman out and Josh Downs is supposed to be out too.
Why can't we just play our roster? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I still think we beat the Titans because they are the Titans and we are the Colts.
The Titans are awful. The Colts are mid.
Even if our roster is worse because of all the people who are out, we are still the Colts.
Yeah.
And they are still the Titans.
Yeah, gotta go with the Colts.
Yeah.
Chargers Broncos. This I think could be a good game.
The Broncos have been hot. They've been winning terrible games, but if they can make this game terrible, I think the Broncos win this.
Yeah, I can see that. Chargers coming off of a bye. Lad McConkey, their last game, played really well. I have the Chargers in a really close game. I could see this one swinging either way, but
the Chargers are definitely better. Justin Herbert's looking like he actually has a roster this year. There's been so many what ifs with Justin Herbert on whether he'd actually be good at football, and he is actually looking like it. Mm-hmm. There's if he only had this receiver, well, if he has a good head coach, which
he does.
Harbaugh is, I hate him, but he's
generational.
The team's looking good. It's an exciting team.
Now, your favorite game of the week, Steelers Raiders. Wonder who this guy has.
Now, if you don't know, the Raiders made a change. This change is something I've been calling for as someone who has decently followed the Raiders the past 2 years. I've been calling for quite heavily. I've consistently said that they were starting the wrong man. Gardner Minshew is a fantastic QB, but he's a backup.
He's a fantastic backup.
He's an excellent backup QB. He can come in, finish the game for a QB who goes out. But you know who can progress into a starter? Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell led them to heights that they could not have experienced last year. Because
Which was what? What were those heights?
Winning a couple games. They beat the Chiefs. You know who was behind? You know who was under center when they beat the Chiefs? Aiden O'Connell, not Jimmy G, not Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew did have a very good season last year. It was Aiden O'Connell. And you know who Antonio Pierce has to thank for his job? The rookie QB who did everything he could to win the Raiders some games and let Antonio Pierce look like a good coach. And for that reason, the Steelers, who have been going cold, are going to lose to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Whew. That was a lot. I'll go Steelers. Anyways, Falcons, Panthers.
Easy Falcons. The Falcons look better than they have all year.
Kirk O'Chains is too tough, bro. You gotta go Falcons.
They look fantastic. Carolina stinks. Maybe they'll start Bryce Young again. He looked good in the snaps that he played last week.
Yeah.
There's definitely questions there. But Kirk O'Chains.
Lions, Cowboys.
Also, no question for me. I'm picking the Lions.
That's fair. The little Dan Campbell fan in me wants to go Lions. And I think I will.
They have
I think they're playing at Dallas, but I don't think that really matters.
that Dallas fans are everywhere.
That's fair.
You go to my high school, you could point out probably 100 Cowboys fans.
That one, and that one.
Yeah, I hate the Cowboys and I want them to lose.
Yeah.
And also I think the Lions are a very good team. They're my Super Bowl favorite. I think they're just built for winning games.
That's fair.
So I'm gonna.
And coming off of a bye. No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Coming off of a bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. Bye. Okay, another little primetime game. Bengals Giants.
This might be the worst primetime game ever. Actually, there's Dolphins Titans.
Yeah, Dolphins Titans was awful. That was a really ugly win for the Dolphins.
This one's bad. Giants coming off a win though.
Bengals are the one. I'll die on the hill that they're still a really good team.
The Bengals are excellent for 1-4. I think they easily win this game.
I
think they breeze past them. I think this is a blowout.
Yeah, I think this is really going to be the Bengals bounce back game. Like, hey, like we're actually a good team, believe it or not, and we're coming for the AFC title.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to be near perfect from here on out to get it. Last one, Monday Night Football, Bills Jets.
There is nothing quite like firing your head coach. That makes a team win a back.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Yeah, Saleh getting fired.
Future Colts defensive coordinator.
Future Colts defensive coordinator. I definitely think that was Rodgers' call, but
I do.
I don't know.
I agree with you. But I saw it in. I've seen it in college basketball. As a college basketball fan, I know there is nothing quite like firing your head coach that gets your team juiced. I saw Purdue lose to the Jake Diebler. You don't know who that is. No one does. The Jake Diebler Ohio State Buckeyes. I saw the national championship runner-up Purdue Boilermakers lose to the Jake Diebler Ohio State Buckeyes. I just wanted to repeat that so we could understand what that means. I think there's a fire underneath the Jets' belly right now that they're like, okay, we fired our head coach. We've got to start winning games to like earn that right to have fired him.
And I thought Saleh was a good coach.
Yeah,
I thought he was. I mean, he gave Rodgers everything he wanted.
Yeah,
and then Rodgers was like, okay, time for you to go.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna pick the Jets because the Bills are kind of falling off.
That's fair.
Like I said, the Bills. This was what happened with the Ravens game. They were playing better than their talent.
Or yeah.
Their record didn't necessarily reflect who they were as a team. They were playing amazing, but that wasn't what their talent was. I feel like they've played a really hard past 2 weeks, but I think they're coming back to earth, and their guys who were amazing are starting to look like what they are. You know. And I think they're still going to end up probably being a playoff team. I think the Bills are still a good team. I just think right now there's some questions with Josh Allen and his health, and because he did get what looked to be a concussion, but they left him in the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was all about, but
so for that reason I'm going to pick the Jets just because I have questions about the Bills right now, and I don't know what they think they're going to be. So I'm gonna let the Jets take that one.
That's fair. I'm gonna go with the Bills. I think that Josh Allen's the second coldest white boy.
Just behind Alec Pierce.
Brock Purdy, but yeah. Alec Pierce is okay. Sorry, coldest white quarterback.
Okay, there you go. Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco's up there, but same with Burrow. There's a lot of them. Okay, but
Burrow's hardly.
And Kirk. Oh my gosh, there's so many.
There's a lot of white boys this year.
Yeah, but I think the Bills are a good football team. I love the saying, if you don't rise to the expectations, you sink to your level of talent, or level of training. Sorry. I think that the Bills, they have so much talent on their roster that they don't have to play well to still win games. And so I think them playing primetime, I think it'd be a good game, divisional game, but Bills really need to assert themselves as like, hey, we're winning this division, it's not going to be close. And I think that they're going to come in with a fire under their bellies as well and be like, hey, like, yeah, this is our game. So for that reason, I'll go with the Bills.
Yeah. Could go either way, honestly.
I agree.
Right now I think that I feel like the Bills would be disheartened because they've lost. They just lost like a really close game, and it was just rough. That was a brutal game. Texans Bills last week was brutal, and I feel like games like that are less like, oh, we're fired up now because we need to get a win. It's more like, I can't believe that game was what it was.
That's fair.
So
it kind of depends on their culture, I feel like.
Yeah. I think I'm excited to see that game. I think
that'll be my game to watch this week.
I would put, if I'm picking a game to watch, there's one on Sunday that I was a fan of. Commanders-Ravens.
That'd be a good one, too. Those two, they're both divisional games. Yep. No, sorry. Commanders-Ravens is not. I don't know why I said that. But Bills-Jets is. Yeah, they'll be good games. I was looking at the Buccaneers.
Yeah. This is a good week for football. I think a lot of teams are playing teams on their caliber. I think there's like one game that's really like night and day, and that's Texans-Patriots. But every other game is like, these teams are kind of on the same level. So it's going to be good games, hopefully. I'm going to say that now, and then they're all going to be blowouts.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But like all these games look pretty even. So it's going to be an exciting week.
Yeah, we'll see. That'll do it for Mini Hoopers. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for it being late. Love you guys.